Greetings, duelists, and welcome to another video. As some people already know, I've been profiling Gem Knights for the past week. Um, I've been testing around with the deck, and I've been trying to make it fit for this format. If you have not seen those videos before this one, I highly encourage you to do so. It gives a lot more context, and it gives a lot more information in depth on why I am testing out this deck. Um, what I'm gonna be doing today is I'm going to be showcasing the deck profile, and not only that, I'm going to be starting a series called From Rogue to Riches. Basically, the purpose of this series is grabbing a deck that is very, very not known in the player environment, um, and try to see if we can top with it at least like on a periodic level. Um, we're in a very open format with like 20 plus decks being available. However, this deck is not even close to like any of the decks that are popular right at the moment. But it does not mean that it does not actually have potential. Um, but yeah, basically my goal right now is to either A, win locals with at least 20 players in it, or B, like at least top with it, at least 2 to 3 locals with it. The series will end if we lose 3 locals in a row with it, like meaning that we don't top any of them. A few disclaimers. First, we are under the June 5th Forbidden Limited list. So, if we do receive an updated list during the time this series is occurring, I will make a follow up video uh, regarding whether or not the deck should be still uh, viable and its fits can be still played under the format. Um, this is a very experimental stage. I don't own all the cards yet, so until that happens, we won't be starting the series still. Um, and yeah, um, let's go with the deck profile. If you're watching this video before I start profiling, make sure to stay tuned until the very end of the video, because I do have a very important announcement. Um, but in order to do so, you have to watch this video entirely. Um, but yeah, without further ado, let's begin. As always, I'm going to show the cards first, and then I'll go with explanations. Um, Emancipator Researcher, Analyzer, Triple Fenrir, Vernus Sulfur Seedlings, Triple Motorbike, Triple Wakaushi, Big Monk Benkei, Soul Gaia Booster, Stealthy. That's it for the non-Gem Knight monsters. For the Gem Knights, we have Triple Quartz, Triple Armadillo, Double Lazuli, Obsidian, Tourmaline, Lapis, and Crystal Rose. For spells / traps, we have Black Garden, Triple Scatter Fusion, Double Gemini Fusion, Reborn, Cold Buy, Gozen. For extra deck, I am missing 2 cards. One of them is in another deck, so I actually do have it available, which is number 141 Baguska. The other one I do not have. I'll probably go to locals or ask around. Worst case scenario, I'll purchase it online. But the other card that we're missing is number Garden Rose Maiden. That's the other monster that we're missing. For the rest of them, 2 Lapis Lazuli, 1 Zirconia, 1 Topaz, 1 Prismara, 1 Seraphinite, 1 Lady Rose Diamond, one Lady Brilliant Diamond, and one Master Diamond. That's it for the Gem Knights. Oh, and Phantom Quartz. This is the most important one. Appaloosa, Gallant Granite, and Naturia Beast. Okay, so time for explanations. These three are flex spots. I'm still debating what to put in here. I just put these as slots for now. These are all really good cards. These are cards that help you with your strategy. Um, this one not so. This one is in case you actually get halted, I guess. But these two are pretty much to solidify your combo because this is pretty much like a going like a turn zero deck. For the most part. Um, I'll explain the Gem Knight stuff afterwards. Black Garden. This card is crucial, as if you saw the previous videos, you already know why this is here. This is pretty much for the FTK. Um, this card is the sole reason why this we can actually try to play this deck going first. If without this card, this deck would probably do a lot better as a going second deck. I'll leave all the Gem Knight explanations for later. Okay, so let's talk about the super heavy samurais. Um, so as I was explaining earlier, uh, Black Garden is kind of crucial for the Gem Knight strategy because the two key cards in this deck, being Quartz and Scatter Fusion, rely on your opponent controlling monsters in order to activate this. So Black Garden is the easiest enabler for that. Um, and in order to get to Black Garden consistently, we needed an engine that can facilitate getting to Black Garden. The Super Heavy Samurais is one of the engines that can get to it. Basically, opening either Motorbike or Wakaushi. One other card that I'm debating playing in this deck is the Wagon, like the Super Heavy Samurai Wagon. Um, those are all cards that can get you to Lady Rose, to Garden Rose Maiden, and Garden Rose Maiden can get you to the Black Garden. Um, if that doesn't happen, then we're pretty much stuck into another game plan, which is probably going to be like Bakuska Pass, for example. Um, but yeah, that's the main purpose of the Super Heavy Samurai cards. If you don't know what the combo is, you activate Wakaushi on the scale. You proc the Wakaushi. You activate the Big Benkei. The Benkei is going to grab the Stealthy. And you special the Stealthy. And this is Garden Rose Maiden because it's a Synchro 5. And not only that, but you're giving yourself a Pendulum Scale. So you have a Pendulum Summon to extend with your other monsters. But yeah, this engine is very, very important if you're playing this deck. Um, there might be other ways to make it consistently, but for now, this is the one that has been working out for me. Fenrir. Let's talk about Fenrir. Um, like one thing that we wanted in this deck is another like strong like non-engine card that can be made in your board if you cannot FTK, if you cannot get to the Garden Rose Maiden combo, like if you don't have like, access to stuff like Baguska, just having a very strong monster like Fenrir just makes your opponent have to think twice if they don't have non-engine to contest it. Um, the Adamanticators are here to fulfill almost the same purpose as the Super Heavy Samurais. Basically, it's another engine that can get you to your Gem Knight cards, but also it's another engine that can get you to Garden Rose Maiden. Um, some of the Gem Knight monsters are level 3, so if they are excavated by researcher, you can special summon them and you can just make Garden Rose Maiden that way. Or some other Gem Knights are level 1, so if you hit them off Analyzer, they can also synchro into Garden Rose Maiden. Adding to that, Stealthy is a level 1 that can special summon itself, so Stealthy and Analyzer can also make you the Garden Rose Maiden. I contemplated playing multiple Stealthies, but I think it was just a lot better if I just play, like, max out these before the rest. Um, and the last card I guess we'll talk about is the Seedlings. So what made me reach this conclusion is that Gem Knight Quartz is a fairy earth monster, and Gem Knight Quartz is pretty much like one of the linchpins of the combo. And not only that, but this also serves as an extender. And if you look at this deck, the only the only real cards that conflict with the Vernosylph is the brilliant the Crystal Rose. It's the Crystal Rose and the Garden Rose Maiden, and the Wakauchi. If you do the Vernosylph effect before synchroning away the Wakauchi, those are the only 3 cards in this deck that actually conflict with this card. Outside of that, everything else in the deck works, even the patterns for the FTK, barring the patterns that involve the Crystal Rose. Um, because all the Gem Knight monsters are Earth, um, and your win condition is solely on Earth monsters. Um, this is still very experimental. One thing I want to try out in the future is max out copies of this and play the Vernusel Fairy, the Vera. Because one cool thing about Vera is that Vera can reborn all of these guys if they're summoned correctly. And Vera is another interruption that can stop your opponent. And adding to that, Vera is a fusion material for the Lady Rose Diamond. So if you open it with the Vera, or if you need access to the Vera by using the Vernosylph effect, you can fuse away Vera with Scatter Fusion for this, or with Gem Knight Fusion for this, and then just use the Seedlings to special back the Vera. Um, so that's one thing I want to try out in the future. Um, I have not done a lot of testing with this, but in theory, I felt like it warranted a spot. Um, let's talk about the Gem Knights. Um, Quartz is the most important one. That's already a given. Um, the one reason I'm not playing the Super Heavy Samurai Wagon is because I want Armadillo to be my main normal summon, because Armadillo can get you to Quartz, which can get you to your Scatter Fusion. If you already open Scatter Fusion or with the Quartz, then Wagon is more warranted as your normal summon, because then with the Wagon, you can get to your Wakaushi, which gets you to your Garden Rose Maiden combo. Um, I'm playing 2 Lazulis and 1 Obsidian. These, if you're familiar with Gem Knights, basically these are tutors that enable you the combo. The way the Gem Knight strategy works is you're trying to fuse away your monsters, and and you just kind of keep fusing away with them. Um, if you are familiar with the Chimera, the Chimera deck. Uh, this card is basically Chimera Fusion, but for Gem Knights, and its effect from the graveyard, it's not once per turn. Um, so as long as you have Gem Knights in your arsenal, you can keep looping this card, and you just keep fusing away your Gem Knight monsters, um, which is basically the general purpose of this deck. You want to resolve Gem Knight Fusion enough times for you to spam the board with a lot of different monsters, and then burn your opponent with the Lapis Lazuli. And if you resolve Black Garden, you're guaranteed to almost get to the FTK, because you're going to be doing at least 4,500 damage uh, each time you do the burn effect. Um, but yeah, basically, uh, these engines are needed. If you do the count between these, this, and this, you have 3, 6, 8. You have 8 rock monsters, meaning that it's not like the biggest liability, like is the bigger possibility of being excavated with the emancipators, but you have a good odd of them getting excavated. Um, but yeah, the reason tourmaline is here is because tourmaline is a fusion material that you can use to make Prismara and Topaz. And the reason I'm bringing these up is because in the off chance you do not go first, like if you don't go first, then your option with this deck is not to FTK because it's no longer turn one. Uh, it would be to break your opponent's board and pretty much kill them outright. And these two fusion monsters are really good at doing that, but they both require Tourmaline to make it possible. Um, I am only playing one Tourmaline and one Lapis because these are actually bricks. Um, you don't want to run too many vanillas in your deck. Like, look at, for example, the dinosaur deck. Um, or look at like decks that played Cypher and Gamma, or like stuff like that. Like you don't see too many vanillas in those decks. But yeah, that's it for explanations in the main deck. Um, Baguska is not super important, but the Garden Rose Maiden is important. Uh, these are basically placeholders for now. Um, this is my proxy for Garden Rose Maiden at the moment because it's level 5. Um, and uh, another alternative that I thought about this deck is Cross Cheap, because Cross Cheap can be used as an extender if you're doing your Gem Knight plays, and it's an Earth monster, so you're not locked into Earth with the Varanus Elves. Um, Speaking of other Earths, you have Naturia Beast and Galan Granite. These are just other cards that help you facilitate your combo. If there are some pieces that you already have and you're missing other pieces, then you can just get to these, and this will get you to whatever else you need. Um, if you've seen my previous videos, you already seen like the roles that these cards already play in. Appaloosa. So when I'm trying to do the FTK, I try to make sure that I have the least amount of disruptions that can stop me from achieving the FTK. The Black Garden already handles Infinite Impermanence. It already takes care of that issue. However, we still have the issue of Nibiru. We have the issue of stuff like a Fit Veiler, Ash Blossom. Ghost Bell is a big one because your main win condition is like looping the Gemini Fusion. Even though it's not once per turn, so Ghost Spell is not really that effective. Um, but yeah, pretty much you just want to get to this card uh, as quick as possible. And this deck is very good at doing this while you still have the FTK. Just to make sure you check all the boxes when it comes to hand traps. One argument that you can make is that by the time you do all your plays before Mikapalooza, if they have not Nibiru'd you yet, is because they don't have it. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it for the deck profile. Um, I'll be testing this at locals. I'll be doing a couple like other series with this. If I find all the cards I need and I feel very confident in my testing, I will take it to a larger event like win a box or win a case or something along those lines. Um, Now for the big announcement. I hope you stayed tuned. You stayed until the very end of this video. This is going to be very rewarding for you. As you can see, I am not profiling on my World Championship 2019 mat. I am profiling on this regional mat. And the reason for that is this mat is going to be my first giveaway. I reached 150 subscribers. I want to thank each and every one of you who has been following the channel. Just having any remote interest in watching my content is something I wholeheartedly appreciate. And even though one of the main rewards is me providing you more content, I also want to do some other forms of gratification this as well. So for this mat, basically, I'll be asking you to do a couple things. One is to like the video. Uh, that lets me know that you are actually enjoying my content. You need to be a subscriber. Like this is basically a reward for those who have stayed as a subscriber. If you're a new subscriber, like there will be other giveaways in the future. Uh, so even if you're just a new subscriber, subscribing as well, this mat is still up for like as a reward. And I will be asking 2 questions, and those questions are only possible if you watch the entire video. The first question is, out of every card in this deck profile, what was the card that stood out the most? Like, is the card that caught your attention? Barring the proxies. The proxies don't count. So neither this, neither of these two. It has to be something else. Um, like, what is the card that caught your most biggest attention? And the second question is, do you have a favorite archetype that falls into the category of something like this? Like, it's a deck that you really enjoy, but it's a deck that's not even in the top 20 or 30 decks that people are considering for this competitive WCQ season. Um, and if so, which one? Um, I will be reviewing this video again on the 31st of August. So basically, you have one entire week to participate. I want to thank you all once more. Just finding my content informative or entertaining to some degrees, that always is beneficial for me. And as always, keep practicing and keep dueling.